Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to play like Shane Lowry. Tee time tips, tee to green. What can we learn from Shane? The way he does his thing, the way he became an Open champion, Ryder Cup star. I mean, what a player, what a celebration when that putt went in on 18 at Bethpage Black. My goodness. So we're going to be here at Wentworth Club on the Edinburgh course, and we're going to play holes 12, 13, 14 with Shane's wisdom. I'm going to try and play the way he would play these shots. Different to how I play it, although, let's be honest, I give away the way I do it just to be able to play like Shane. He is so good and he's different. He's creative, he doesn't overthink stuff, and he's a little bit of a throwback for me. Like, so much about Shane looks like he hasn't been overcoached, which is not what I am. I am completely overcoached. I have a million thoughts going around my head. So this is gonna be really hard to stay out my own way. 163 to the middle, let's just have a look. Flag's back a touch though. I'm gonna say it's there, 66. 166 to the hole, fraction down. A good solid 8-iron I think does it, if I'm honest. What about Shane with the iron play? Now, Shane is one of the best iron players on the PGA Tour this year. Why is that? And I think the reason for him, as much as we can talk, and I will do in the future, about Tommy and technique, which is just divine, for Shane, I feel like it's a bit of a throwback to rhythm. Rhythm feels like something you're not allowed to say anymore on social media because it's like, well, no, how can you sell it? So many great players in the past have had great rhythm. Now, great rhythm doesn't mean slow, doesn't always mean you have to swing it like Ernie Els. Nick Price had great rhythm and it was fast. It means that you have something that matches your personality, that's got flow. And so much that comes down to that beautiful change of direction, which is the holy grail of the golf swing. One thing you notice with Shane, big, strong guy, he has that move off the ball to the top, nice turn, but then there's this feeling of the flow of it. He doesn't turn on the power too early. The club almost drops back into a slot, and then he turns aggressively through the ball. So he matches up, good arm swing, and body rotation, which is what golf is all about, to be fair. And you'll see that rotation in the way that he'll finish very low very often when he hits. You'll see him hit those little peely fades, but he goes nicely up, drops the club in the slot, and then rotates hard around his body from there. So for me, it's going to feel like I'm going to have to go wait, and then turn on the power. He also starts off, as we all do, start as you mean to go on, clubs on plane. So down the toe line at this position in his backswing in terms of where the shaft plane is, that'll be pointed. If it's shot out the butt end of the grip, it'll be towards the flag. For so many of us, we have these moves off the golf ball. Shane has none of that. Keeps that club beautifully on plane on the way back. If anything, club slightly outside the hands, up to the top, drops on plane, and then I'm going to feel the fade by rotating, but not too early. I have to wait, like Mel Gibson in Braveheart. Hold, and then go. Okay, Shane, help me out, buddy. Big, hard 8-iron this is for me. Okay, I've hit it nice. Be a good club. Oh, tell you what. Can you zoom in on that and then we not go and find it? I mean, talk about play like Shane Lowry. Eat your heart out, Shane. I mean, that's really good. One of the great ways we're going to talk about what I just said about Shane and his simplicity of what he does is with the putter. So one of the things that he found was that he was trying to be too perfect with his stroke, with the way he's aiming. I get that. It's exactly how I play, and I'm sure it's how most of you play as well. It's like you have these, oh my God, look where this is pitched. I suppose it would have definitely still, it's probably come back from hits, probably bum like that. And, 1.5? No? Right, always clean your ball, even if it's a tap in. I had muck on it. I mean, what I should have done is brought my towel with me. It's a bit lazy. My wet towel, by the way. But yeah, because it only takes a little bit of cobs of mud underneath if you haven't looked. Put like that, still miss. So it only takes a second, it's not slow play. We should talk about slow play as well. It's killing the game, man. Right, for a 2. Thank you very much. Well done, Shane. Good work, buddy. One of the things about Shane is that he found when he was putting, he was trying to be too perfect with that alignment. So he's trying to aim the putter perfectly because, you know, maybe he doesn't feel like he holds enough putts, and that starts to breed into, I need to make more. If I can make more putts, I've got more chance. And we all do it. It's like, if only, and we try harder. Of course we try harder. And what Shane found was that he was trying to be so perfect, like trying to like this, yeah, that's absolutely spot on. Get those feet perfectly parallel to that line on the head. All good things. All good things. Get that grip spot on. Is the shaft in plane? Are my eyes in the right place? Is that stroke perfectly back and through? Is the speed of the stroke good? so much, so conscious, everything Shane is not. And so what he did is he moved into simply not trying to stand square. Yeah, so he purposely stood, and still does to a degree, feet just comfortable, just gets comfy over it. And we're like this, it's like if you get someone who gets stuck in the head with putts and you say, just knock that back to me, they go, oh yeah, no problem, just go boom, because they're not thinking. But as soon as you give people time to think, that's when we get in our own way and make these ugly strokes. It's because we're trying too hard. And Shane found that just by getting his feet in, and maybe it's a good thing for you to try, nice little tea time tip there, get those feet comfortable, like not aiming anywhere. Sometimes it's like this, sometimes it's like this, sometimes it's like this. It's just comfy. But what you'll find is it's generally always the same, because you'll get used to standing in the same comfy position. And then you just feel like he's focused on the line, just send it down that line, little pop, send it down the line on its way. And that helped him really to get out the way with his putting. And I think that's one of the things that's helped him. And you see that across his game. He does that so beautifully with his chip in. With the putter, it was less so. One of the things that Shane does so really, really beautifully is shape the golf ball. And again, this taps into the fact of he's not trying to make pretty swings. So as much as he does have a pretty swing, he leans on very basic fundamentals in terms of tying his arms and his body turned together, in terms of obviously the speed of his transition is beautiful, never rushed, and that rhythm he has. And a good rhythm hides many flaws in every part of the game. This is a big dog leg from right to left, so it's perfect. We can hit a draw, but we're going to play it nice and aggressive. He's a good driver of the ball. We're going to tap into his rhythm. Let's see where the carry is here. So we go down the hole to where I want to hit it. Up here, like 280 yard, which I think in these conditions is quite a big swipe. That's going to be perfect. And I can hit driver, I'm going to hit a little bit of a draw. I'm going to hit it over that big tree on the left. So just tapping into, if you're going to have a rehearsal and that feel, and you'll sometimes see Shane do that, you'll see him have a little rehearsal with his swing, and it might, whatever his feel is, like my feel at the moment is quite significant with what I'm doing with the coach that I work with. Changed my posture significantly, straightened out my legs, put more weight into my left side at address, feeling the club way more outside my hands, more body turn to the top, and then feeling like I stay shot through strike to stop me spinning out early. Quite severe. So if you're going to do all those things, do them in the practice rehearsal, but then stand in, hit the shot. Oh, I've hammered that. That's right over the top of the tree. And it is over the top of the tree. Quite a big carry because it feels a bit of puff of breeze there as well. Good start, Shane. You could be my favourite, I think. I remember, 2009 it was, of course it was. His first win, he was an amateur. It was at Baltray. It was the Irish Open. Irish Open is one of the very best. The crowds are off the charts. It's an amazing experience, the Irish Open. One of the favourite events. Even now going to it at Sky sometimes, especially when Rory's playing, like the atmosphere. The one that in 2025 was incredible, the way Rory won that or got into the playoff. But Shane announced himself as an amateur, 2009, the Irish Open at Baltray. I played. Robert Rock, in the end, got into the playoff there with Shane. Shane beat him in the playoff. I finished fourth that week, so I don't know how many shots behind, a couple, 3 or 4, whatever it was. Played nicely, but because Shane was an amateur, he couldn't have the check. So I got the 3rd place check when Shane won the Irish Open. So to this day, it's one of my happiest wins that anyone's ever had that wasn't me, because I made loads of dough off the back of the fact that Shane couldn't take his winner's check, which was nice. No one was happier though than Robert Rock, because I think he got £500,000 for that as well. £500,000 for coming second. Thanks. But very obvious there. I remember when coming off 2009, I'd already started to sort of turn a little bit with my game, not quite what it was, although I did win that year. But look at that, what a tee-shot, by the way. All the best. Soak these up rather than talking about Shane. What am I doing talking about Shane? For Shane to have gone there and to have beaten that strength of field as an amateur, because you do. I remember when I played my first event, I was 16, it was the British Masters, and I'd gone from being big fish, small pond in amateur golf to like, oh my God, there's Seve, there's Fowler, there's Woozy, there's Lang, oh my God, there's Monty. Like it's the stuff that dreams are made of. And I was so overwhelmed by how big this occasion was and who these men were. Making the cut would have been a dream, and it took me a few goes on tour until I did. I was 17 when I think I made my first one on the European tour as an amateur still. I think 12th was the best finish I ever had, but to win, you could tell he was going to be special. I hit that 284 yards, by the way. 284 yards, which in these conditions is, I think, It's a bit of a melt, isn't it, across the corner. So what have we got left? Into the shadows. So let's move it back there. It's, I'd say 124 to get all the way back to that hole. And again, the lie is sat down a touch. The lie's a bit cuppy, so I'm gonna have to get a little bit steeper. These are all things that you factor in before you hit the sharp. Shane's not afraid of taking a big divot. Of course, all the great things with wedge play, of course, you got to make sure that the sternum controls the low point. Much like Tommy Fleetwood, Shane is so good at staying centered. Centered effectively is like the old tea time tip of being inside the telephone box, where it means that you don't move outside. You don't see top players really giving it the swaying back. Maybe a little bit on a driver, someone like Bryson might, although Bryson stays very centered as well. Very few guys who hit the ball really well have a sway in their golf swing. Most of them have a decent rotation. Yes, they move to the right side, but not a mile. Shane's certainly one of those. And it means with the wedges, he can simply control it by their rotation, almost feeling like he stays in the telephone box, with obviously strike being underneath the sternum. And of course, that's not where the ball is, because the low point's slightly in front of the ball. Comes down, collects the ball, hits the ground, takes the divot out. And of course, that's what we need when it's sat down in a divot, because it's even lower than the surface level. So I need to be coming down, collecting. It's going to come out a little lower. It's not going to come out particularly lovely. It's going to come out a bit flatter. I'm going to de-loft it slightly so it can play a little shorter in terms of what I allow. But 124, I'm going to go for a little pitching wedge. They're going to be so spinny, these greens, as well. So especially if I try to mullow, like back foot a 52, it's going to have a ton of spin. And for the top golfer, Shane, Rory, Scotty, any of these guys, spin, as much as we all love it as amateurs, is quite often the enemy, especially in soft conditions when it's like this. Controlling spin, back flags, they're the toughest, because taking the spin off the golf ball is what they're trying to do. And this is a great example of how I can do it. So I'm going to take it off by being a little smooth, and someone like Shane can do this better because he has such great rhythm and control of it. He is someone that doesn't have to just swing it shorter. He can do that, and that's a great way to take distance off it, is just swing it shorter but at full pace to take distance off, make the swing longer to go slightly further, and you work out like a clock face how long to swing it, matching up on both sides. Shane can just take the pace out of this a little to take some of the distance. You slow the circle down, you take the yardage off the shot. 138 would be a full wedge for me. Winter conditions, I'd say 132. 124, still another 8 off that. So I need to take 8 yards of speed off, and I'm going to try and do it the Shane way. I don't have as good a rhythm, so I would normally do it with the clock face, but because with Shane, I'm going to do it with rhythm. I'm going to have a little go. So the rehearsal next to it is going to be essential. Full speed rehearsal. Because in the end, why not just recreate exactly what I'm going to try and do? A little bit of weight on my lead foot, a little bit more than normal, just to help me get that angle of attack. I like the look of it. Have I hit it too hard though? I don't think so. Can't quite tell. We'll have to wait till we get there. See, nice deep divot, nice and steep on top of it, created that the sort of strike that I needed. Again, so you get a really bad lie, you're in that divot. Should we hit one? Let's hit one. Go on, Shane, late one. Can't all be as lucky as Shane and find a good lie, can we? Up the front, not so much, although it is going to jar the wrist a touch. There's middle. Back can be a little bit, this is awkward, like in the back of the divot here, because it's got a bit of a ridge on it. This is really awkward. So this is extreme. How do we play it? Make the divot bigger. That's the ambition. Don't try, temptation is going to be to try and lift it out of that divot. You don't want to do that. We're going to move further back in the stance. We're going to put a load of weight on our left foot. We're going to stay forward, and this is going to come out knee high, because I'm going to have so much shaft lean, which is all of these things are going to help me with the steepness. I'm going to pick it up, I'm going to be on top of it, try and make that divot bigger than it is already. It's going to come out low. It's not going to be pretty, but in essence, we're trying to get this on the green from here. If we get this on the green, it's job done from a lie like this. It's a horrible break. This is exactly the lie why people think you should get relief from divots. I don't agree, but I think it's all part of what makes the game beautiful, the chance. But back in the stance, just inside my right foot, handle of the club on my left leg, my lead leg, load on my left side. I'm aiming to touch left because I've moved the ball so far back in my stance. That comes out really low. God, I've probably hit that close in the one from the good lie. That's crazy. But look at that, look how deep I've made the divot. And that in essence is what we've got to commit to. That is not how it goes back in the bag, right? That's not, you see what I just did? Not good, look at the face. The black is the muck in the face, always, always, especially if you take one like that. Look. So important. If you want spin on the golf ball and you're whinging it, look at, you need these to help you, man. They are your friend. I've had it closer with, look at that, what a shot that was from the big divot, by the way. How pretty does that look? That must be a nice image. I think the one thing that Shane's renowned for as well is being tough. He is tough, isn't he? And as much as, you know, Shane is one of the guys that we sometimes have to apologise for on Sky, you know, duty of care to protect the viewer because the bad language pops out. A lot of the guys, you know, it boils over, it's live sport. It's an event out there where people sometimes vocalise their disappointment. Shane's one of them, Bob's another, like Tyrrell's another. But most guys at some stage, regardless of who they are, say something that you know, isn't appropriate necessarily for a younger viewer. But that passion isn't to be confused with someone who throws the towel in. Oh, no, no, no. Same as Tyrrell. Far from it. Actually, it's that passion, and what makes them so good is that they can look like they're losing their temper, look like they're getting angry, but really it's just determination because they'll always leave it behind. Shane will never carry that bad vibe of he's hit a poor shot to hit the next one. That's really important. Hit the shot, feel however you need to feel, but then leave it back there. Leave it where that divot was. I mean, what a result. How happy would you be? I mean, from the good light, I'd have been happy with that. Lovely. Unfortunately, that's not my ball. I have to putt like Shane, so I'm gonna have to tap into just getting comfy on it, which on these shots, because I haven't got the history of having struggled on the greens, is no big deal for me. I can absolutely get out of my way and completely trust it. Doing that off the tee and trusting that I will make a good swing that makes the ball goes down the fairway without me thinking about making a pretty golf swing, that is not easy for me. And that's why I sympathise and why this is going to be a stretch for you, but a great thing to practice. Do you practice on your swing? Do you rehearsal before you hit it? But then when you get on the shot, just commit to getting out your own way. See the shot, let it flow. Doesn't turn anywhere near as much as I thought. So line and speed is absolutely atrocious there. Excellent, just what I was looking for. But you can see I probably thought that was going to be a bit slower as well because the greens are a little bit moist. If I'd have taken the pace off it, I'd have been tipping in probably around here. So I've misjudged it for speed. Pace was good though. The other good thing about staying out of your way when you practice putting, or when you're putting rather, is that you don't really carry any baggage. Whereas if you're always analysing every single shot you hit and how your stroke looked, and you'll always try and figure out what you did wrong. Whereas if I'm not thinking about my technique, I'm not really thinking about what I did wrong. So I'm not going to start that of all this information banging around my brain. A little bit left to right. Just get comfy. Oh my God. Let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about it. Can you turn away? 4, nice, nice. Good 4, no, it's a 5. Back to level par, gotta be honest, I'm quite disappointed because I'd have fancied saving one up just because this is a really narrow hole. Appreciate as well, we haven't talked about short game yet with Shane, which is like the most important thing to really talk about with him, but we'll do it. It's hard though, you know, when you never miss a green like me. I mean, when are you going to talk about short game? I'm not going to start kicking it off, you know. So anyway, I'll miss this one on purpose. It probably doesn't look it down here, but there's like if you're getting the trees on the right and left here, you're knackered. Great dead straight par 4. But I always think when you get a bit uncomfortable, and you see a lot of tall players do this, they hit it low. Because lows can go high, it's up above the trees, could go anywhere. Low, there's only so much it can do, right? There's only so much can go wrong. So how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to peg it down slightly. Not too much though, because these drivers, my QI 35 here, is designed for the maximum, and Rory's hitting it up here, Shane as well, 8 miles, like up in the, slightly up above the centre, but that's what I'm looking for, high launch, low spin. If I hit it low in the face, it's going to have more spin, launch lower, which generally is not really what we want, although we are going to try and hit this one slightly lower. So that's why hitting it off the deck with the drive, as much as it is a showpiece shot, I've always been quite good at that one, to be fair. It's one of the shots that I can hang my hat on. Hit modern day 3-woods as far because you lose so much power from hitting it low on the face. It loses ball speed, it increases spin, all the things you don't want, because if you're hitting driver off the deck, it's probably back into the wind. So a low shot's good back into the wind. I'm going to tee it down a little, but not so much that I'm going to hit it low on the face, because we just talked about it doesn't help. The only other things I'm going to do then, I'm going to move the ball slightly further back. And by slightly, I do mean slightly. Normal position here, high one here, low one there. So we're talking about sort of from all the shots, maybe this, which of course we know is 12 inches. Not quite. Okay, so that's probably about 5 inches in terms of the furthest forward to the furthest back we play it in our stance. So that's going to be our goal in terms of not messing it so much, because if we change it too much, we have to change bits about our technique. So for me here, when you move the ball back, it's called D-plane, but in essence, when we move it back, we're hitting it earlier in the arc. And you know, the arc obviously isn't like that. It's like this around us. It's like a plane of glass that sits like this through us. So that's the arc of the club. So if I hit it further back, if I exaggerate, if I hit it further back, see where it's pointing the face, it's pointing over here. So if we move it back in the stance, even just a few balls like this for this shot, we've got to aim a little bit further left because we're hitting it earlier in the arc. So for the face to point straight, we have to be aiming a touch further to the left-hand side. So you're going to touch further back, handle a bit further forward, touch open in my stance. I'm going to feel like I chase it through. Oh, that was marvellous. Oh, love that. You know when you watch certain players in arenas and you just realise that they're a little bit different in terms of their mentality. I think being able to be the guy like Shane was at the Ryder Cup to hold that putt, that's terrifying, isn't it? Because human nature is to worry about, especially when you're playing for 11 other golfers, because that's not what tour players do. Tour players play for themselves. So actually, if it all goes wrong, it's on me. You know, I'm the one who has to suck up failing. But to stand there when you're playing for your continent, when you got all the people at home from Europe as well, willing you on, and to stand up for your 11 other players that are on that team, the wives, the captains, the vice captain, sorry, the captain, and deliver, like that is, oh, that's scary. Not everybody wants the ball. You know, I find it hard, like now I wouldn't want the ball now. I have a lot of fear when I play golf in terms of I worry about what might happen. And that's arguably where I lost my mojo. And it all came down to things in my life that were going on. I realized I wasn't bulletproof with personal loss in my life after mum died. And I think I never really recovered because the problem was when I was a youngster, I honestly believed I was bulletproof. Like I believed that bigger the challenge, more likely I am to succeed. Even the year I won the Dunhill Links, I honestly thought, and I'd 10 times I led that year and didn't win any, and then I won the Dunhill Links during tournaments. And yet, me now would go like, oh, what's wrong? And I would never have won the Dunhill because I'd have got my own way thinking, oh my God, why'd you keep panicking when you get in the lead? But I didn't. And then when I got to Dunhill, I thought, like, well, no, this is the biggest one. To win at the old course, this is the one that's meant for me. That's not a given that people have that. Shane has that. In the biggest moments, think about for Shane, winning the Open at Royal Portrush as an Irishman. Most people crumble because the fact is it means so much. What if and your instincts go, what if I never get another chance like this again? What if I make a mistake? He's not thinking that. He's got eyes, tunnel vision on what am I trying to achieve? Asking himself the question, what am I trying to do? And yes, he feels those same emotions that we all feel, but what he's really good at is getting out of his own way and trusting himself, just backing yourself. And in life, we all have moments when we do it and we think that feels amazing because I just backed myself and then I delivered. But you have to be willing to fail in order to succeed. And all of these guys, Rory said it recently too as well. He's like, I asked him, I said, what allows you to be the person to, and it was when he held the putt in the Irish Open to win this year or to get into the playoff to win. I said, what allowed you to do it? He said, the fact that I've failed so many times, I'm not afraid to fail, means I'm more likely to succeed because I get out my own way and I'm happy to fail. Because if you allow yourself to be open and let it all hang out, that's when you've got half a chance of the brilliance that lurks within coming to the fore. Shane has done that so beautifully through his career. 120. Let's go for a little shot because I can't squeeze a 52-degree bat there. Playing like Shane, I mean, in these conditions as well, I don't think Shane would try and do that. He'd be happy. And that's the thing, is like for most of us, the lesson here from Shane might be don't do it like Shane, because Shane would be at this lie. Why have I got another bad lie? I'm just going to see what's under it. I'm going to put it straight back. No, it's not actually. It's just sat down. Sucks, man. You've hit a good tee shot. Shane is absolutely happy taking a pitching wedge and taking close on 18 yards off this because he knows how to do it. For me, it's just asking for trouble. So I'd much rather mash a 52. And my advice would be for most of us, if we're not competent and we're a higher handicap, trying to play the high-end, high-tariff shots, not always the right way. Great to try and learn, aspire to get there, but actually if you're not that level yet, don't lose the club champs or don't lose the competition, the Stableford at the weekend, because on the last hole you try and hit a fancy shot that you're not capable of. If in doubt, lean on the thing that makes you comfortable. Shane would certainly have done that in these big moments, but for him, he has comfort in controlling his speed. So for this one, we're gonna have to make the swing a little shorter, but again, we're gonna lean into controlling that distance through the nice rhythm. So I've got to still tap into Shane's stuff. Good rhythm. Slightly iffy lie, so again, have to load that left side a touch. Dragged it. It's in the heart of the green. However, we're not really going to worry about too much about that one because we're going to do some short game. How can we do a series of tee time tips, tee to green, channeling Shane and not do short game? You just have to, don't you? That was a rotten lie though. Might have to get a couple of balls out. We're going to hit a few different shots. I've got one club though. Got my new MG5 wedges. It is brand new as well that I'm using today. Mine's a 60. I actually have a bent to 59, but Shane has 58. And he does most of his chipping with that club. Now this is a classic example of recommending things to people and trying to learn from Shane. This is amazing. It's the right thing to do because Shane's incredible around the greens. He's got all of the shots. Would I advise amateurs to try and chip like Shane? Chip in action, yes, in the way he plays them. Chipping choices, less so. But the ethos behind why Shane does it is something we can learn from. So you can see like, there's lots of room for them to work with here. There's plenty of space on this green. I have so many options, soft greens as well. So I have space here to use different clubs. And for Shane, that meant too many options with all the clubs in his bag because he could stand there with a 60 degree and think, oh, maybe this should be a 56, you know, because in the end I've got some space. And that indecision was a killer. And in golf, indecision, whether it be off the tee, on the greens, around the greens, is going to cause you more problems than actually poor technique sometimes, because then we don't make a good action at it. And actually our technique is compromised by the fact that, well, we weren't committed. And being tentative is a real killer. So for Shane, by having one club, and for him it's that 58, he uses a pitching wedge for chip and runs, but that is for chip and runs. And again, that's unusual in itself because pitching wedge, I mean, I would go down to like 7 or 6 iron for chip and runs, depending on how much green we've got in front of us. Well, let's do it the Shane way because that's what this is all about, play it like Lowry. So 60 degree, but different shots. So forward in the stance, off that front toe, and brushing the ground with the bounce, like that. One's going to help me because I've got bounce there to help me with strike, especially off this tight, wet turf. And it's also going to launch it high. So that's the one when I've got no green to work with. Same club, back in the stance, handle still forward, so from there to there. You can see lofts come off it, and I'm going to match that up with turning a little bit more on the way through, making sure that I chase it with the grip, but keep turning. So it's not chasing it this way, it's chasing it by still turning through. I'm not letting the club expand past me, which is going to increase loft. I'm going to keep the loft off by having the handle forward and maintaining that through strike. Still feel nice and low at the finish with the hands down by my left hip. But 2 different ball flights. So the first one, we're going to have front foot using the bounce. I'm going to feel like I brush that turf. I can hear the bounce working there and it's flowing. But see, for me though, that's half the problem with playing it so high there is that, I mean, it's finished 2.5 feet in front of where it landed. I don't think Shane would play it that way though either. I think he'd more likely play it a bit further back in the stance, the lower one. But for me, just having so much loft, I feel a little bit uncomfortable. So this is how Shane does it. This is what we're tapping into today and I love the fact of simplifying the options. I love that part of what Shane does. But I think you have to be really talented to have all the shots with one club. And he's a genius. So I think you'll be wary sometimes of trying to copy a genius. What are the bits I can take from it? What are the bits that actually, I wouldn't find that easy. And I think being able to move it around with one club, whilst it's very cool and also very effective for Shane, for most of us it's tougher. So back in the stance, handle a bit further forward, drive it in lower, bit of hot, bit of check. And again, played it quite nicely, but neither of those are gimmies, and I played them good. But Shane would move around the green The only time he said he'd play chip and run would be, say, somewhere like this, you think, oh, this is a pitching wedge. He says sometimes he'd still use the 60 from here, because Shane can hit this shot, and it's a great example. If he's trying to get it to run out, he'll sometimes play it back in his stance, and he'll almost have a little bit of a hook release. And this thing gets it running when it comes on the green. But for me, that is such a hard shot to imagine trying to play. Oh my God, I don't even going to try and play it. Yeah, I mean, it's just such a weird shot to play for me. You can see it doesn't really dig in, but it's such a weird feel. Let's have another go. Let's have another go at that one. I've never even really tried that. Sometimes trying to feel a little bit of a hook release can be quite a nice thing if you're someone that, see, it makes it dig a little bit for me as well. Let's try again. It just gets it chasing and rolling a bit. Whew. I'm not so sure about it. I mean, they were pretty nicely played, but you can see, I mean, both of them I'm still having to pot. And I fancy my chances with a 56 degree, and that would be my tee time tip. I love what we learned from Shane, keep it simple, but you might be able to use that same Shane wisdom and stand there and look at a shot like this and do it a little bit more the Faldo way, which was tight flag like this. If I'm always thinking I want to land it a couple of yards on the green, that's still removing the indecision. Because I'm saying this is where you land it, 2 yards on the green, every time. The flag's there, what lands 2 yards on the green and then rolls out to there? Oh, well, that's 56. Okay, new flag. Flag's not there today, you're still there, new flag's here. What lands 2 yards on the green and rolls out to here? Well, it might be 52, maybe even a pitching wedge. Cool, it's a pitching wedge then, isn't it? Flag's all the way back here, trying to land it 2 yards on the green. What lands there and rolls here? Well, that's an A-tine. Couple of bunker shots, tap into a bit of Shane, and one of the things that is always ever present with Shane in the sand, you might want to come around this side to have a little peek, is speed. Always got speed, but not just Shane, every player, but particularly Shane. Never afraid when he's even as close to the flag as this. The reason you're opening up the face, one, it applies a bit more bounce, fantastic, but also gets things to fly out. We're below the level of the green, so we need a little bit of height. We haven't got a lot of space, but we also can have speed, because if we've got more loft, the energy is going to send it more that way than that way, so then more speed means that this is how we're going to propel it to the hole. So face open, drop the handle a little bit as well so we can aim square, because the loft points back at the hole then. Otherwise you end up having to aim a bit too much to the left-hand side. Weight into that left side, knee over my front toe there, so it keeps that weight on that left as I'm playing it. Again, biggest thing that goes wrong in bunker play, people come back this way. So into that left side. Lovely. You can see plenty of speed there, control of the spin. Let's go for a longer one. Let's tap into one which doesn't allow me to be, so I'm taking out of the, this is tough actually, because this, oh yeah. That's, in fact, let's put it on that bit there because I've just touched that sand down, so just a normal lie. Okay. Is that a stone? Oh yeah. Oh, I don't fancy that, my brand new wedge. Right. This shot, if Shane was here now, as good as he is, I think he'd also be accepting the fact this is going to be really hard to get close. The biggest mistake I could make is leaving it in this bunker. So taking your medicine would be the tee time tip that we learned from Shane here. Even with his skill set, he's going to do everything he can to stop it quickly, but at the same time, it's going to come out lower because I have to, simply have to, go with the slope here. Leaning this way because it helps me feel like I can hit it in the air is not going to work, because I'm always going to ground out early and probably hit it in the teeth and knife it into the lip here, or certainly duff it and it's not even going to get out. So the only way I can get this out is to go with the slope, match up my body line with the slope that I'm on, chase it down. It's going to come out lower, which means it's not going to stop in time. It's going to go past the hole. Tough luck. Shouldn't have hit it in the first place if that's what I'm upset at. So go down the slope. That's not bad. That's about as good as you could hope for. And you see, I've still got plenty of speed on it, plenty of spin on it, and it's given me half decent chance to save par. But going with the slope, lots of speed, and never, ever, ever coming back this way. Otherwise, that's going to end badly, guys. Last hole. Sorry, Shane, I didn't hit a very good wedge shot in. What am I here? Best part of 28 feet, probably. Again, picking it up, taking it in through the eyes, up and over, down the other side, okay? I'd say this for birdie, 2 putts for par, 3 for a bogey, 4 for a double. Okay. I don't think there's too much in this. Might just edge a little bit right to left at the end. So that's where I'm all in there. Okay, tapping into Shane. In fact, we'll ditch the Justin Rose on this one. We're not allowed to. Go do it like Shane. Comfy, good rhythm. Tick, tock. Chances? No. I was right, it did turn. Touch more than I thought though. And one of the things you'll notice with Shane's putting, if you watch it, is that rhythm which we see with the long game, which we've just been talking about all the way through this, about the shaping, getting out your own way. Getting out your own way is what Shane is. Same with the putter. We talked about the way he stands to it, but the one thing that remains consistent across all departments is that rhythm, that tick-tock. The fact that this pendulum, this putter, tick-tock, tick-tock, that flow of a pendulum, because there's no staccato action in a grandfather clock. Tick-tock. Always keeps it the same. Level par, Shane. Not bad. If you were here in person, you'd have probably done better by at least 1 or 2. But thanks for the insights. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope these tee time tips, tee to green, have helped you, certainly with the insights about the way Shane plays the game too. Remember to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Let us know what you think in the comments.